Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anthony Escoto. I am part of the CERT program here at New York City Emergency Management. CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Teams. So today we're going to be talking about capturing volunteer impacts in our communities. So first off, a little for those who are not familiar with us as New York City Emergency Management. Our mission statement, we inform, prepare, respond, and recover. We make sure that we disseminate critical information through our massive venues of amplifying through either Notify NYC, which you should all be familiar with, our press releases, and several newsletters that a lot of our programs have. And even in critical times, we do use wireless emergency alerts that we amplify to our residents. Prepare, while we have the Ready New York campaign that we make sure that's amplified through all of our venues as well. We make sure also that we're writing plans in times of disaster and we're educating the public about preparedness. Respond, as we try to make sure we coordinate with all responding agencies here in New York City and making sure that each has appropriate resources in order to respond. And we do help through the recovery phase as well, coordinating similar resources as needed. Now, how does the CERT program fit into all of that? The CERT program's highly very involved in preparing. So we make sure that a lot of our volunteers are our community ambassadors. There are force multipliers going out into those communities where we don't have a lot of representation and making those personal connections with the community members and amplifying our Ready New York program. Make sure that they're building relationship with the first responders, both fire department or police department, as there'll be those resources in time of need if they need more resources. So the fire department or the police department will be requesting CERT support if it need to be. And then we have them going through different trainings as well, just to beef up their individual readiness. Our volunteers do help a lot in the response. So we deploy again our volunteers assisting first responders. And of course, the recovery phase, very similar to what we do, making sure that the community has resources and being represented in those communities where sometimes we have an issue in doing so. This is a bit more of our program structure, and this starts dipping into the open data side of things of why we're here today. We use community districts to really break down our programs to make our teams. Right now, we have 24 teams throughout the city. We use compilations of community districts, combining them into divisions. This is just to give people groups to work with cohesively and capture all gaps there so that there is no gaps, pardon, throughout the city. You can see here in the map a bit of the different divisions. And again, these are just accompanied by groups of community boards, which again is open data within the city. Just as an example, these are different boroughs. Like here on the left, you have Manhattan, and this is a little bit more detailed of Queens and how we break down those. We don't have them combined in any specific order for any reason, just more of geographs and what makes more sense of communities working together. Some are mixed on purpose so that we don't want to be segregating anyone. And again, this just gives the program a bit more structure in serving the city, either working with close relationships with NGOs, city organizations, city agencies, and serving the public in time of need, whether it be a planned event or an emergency. We do have, how do we support that? It's literally only 4 staff members here at New York City Emergency Management. And right now we have a little bit over 700 volunteers citywide. So we do, like we had a few volunteers introduce themselves on the chat earlier. We do have a very robust volunteer leadership structure, and that's representing those maps that you just saw. So you have your general membership that then is supported by district leaders, secretary recorder, Radio New York liaison, communications liaison, and the division chief, which again goes into that structure that you all saw on the maps. And most of these are, again, representing those mission statements of preparedness throughout our program. Now, how we start capturing volunteer impact. One of the things that we do much is, especially to support our activation of our emergency activation plans here at New York City Emergency Management. And we have several. We do have the flash flood plan activation, which unfortunately gets activated a lot, where we amplify our volunteers with a relationship with New York City Department of Environmental Protection, or for us city folks, DEP. We do have a partnership that we have our volunteers go out and report catch basin data collection, so that they're either clearing them, if they're reporting an issue or whatnot. And again, this is using open data of where catch basins are in the city, so that the volunteers are easily not able to duplicate efforts. They're able to see historical data on a platform that we use and amplify to them every time that this is done. And this is, again, we ask them to do as they go about their day, if they can. We understand that this is something that happens a lot throughout the city. We don't expect every single one of our volunteers to go out every time that this happens. But we do understand that, and we've all seen here in New York City how heavily impacted we've been by flooding situations, whether it be an emergency or not. It seems like it's the one hazard that keeps creeping us at every single community, whether traditionally you get flooded or not. We also have the winter weather emergency plan that we have our volunteers actually not only clear catch basins as well, because as we know, when it gets a little bit warm, it just melts and then it creates flooding. But we also have them report in snow measurements, which is this map here. This is from last year. Thank God we haven't been able, we have not had the need for snow measuring this year, where volunteers started reporting data of snowfall in their neighborhood. Now, this is super helpful because this helps us gauge what's the impact in certain communities. Anyone here that's familiar with looking at the weather during snowfall, you're able to see that you only get to see JFK, LaGuardia, Central Park. That's really not super helpful. We need to see what are the little impacts in our communities, so that if something starts bubbling up, we can try to get coordination easier with Department of Sanitation and our elected officials, so that we see live data. And again, our volunteers are uniformed, credentialed, and vetted by us. So it's definitely vetted information. It's not random reports on Twitter exaggerating, oh, I have 2 feet of snow and the entire city has 2 inches. And this is really helpful. And again, this is using open data on New York City maps, DEP overlays that are available, and the community boards, which now again helps us identify what specific areas our volunteers are reporting the data from, whether they're there and reporting from somewhere else or vice versa. I know I'm a pretty fast talker sometimes. Any questions, Key, or should I continue?
I don't see any questions, but just to make sure everything is correct, you're still showing us the map with the lat and long points, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
All right. And our volunteer impact. So one thing internally that we have started now, developing a dashboard where we're starting to collect where our volunteers are, what are they doing, and how frequent. This allows us to see gaps throughout the city of either we're getting a request and we don't have the support. Where are we actually doing preparedness events? So in the future, and this is again something very new, this is going to be able to help us measure preparedness overall, where we're doing support. Either we have the volunteer support or we need to come up with a new recruitment strategy in a certain neighborhood to support either our internal city operations or our partners being requested from our volunteers. And a lot of these events are also even events that have been coordinated and requested by volunteers. You can see a lot of those dark greens from Brooklyn. I, for example, know that those are mostly events that our great volunteers at Brooklyn Division 5 have started facilitating and organizing and providing for the rest of the city. But this is again using data that's available with that same breakdown. Those are the different borders that you see. Those are community boards. And this is how we try to also, at the end of every month, we take all of this data and we push it back out a little bit more digestible to our volunteers with internal newsletters on what impact they're having. And we put it in by volunteer hours, what type of event. Was it a preparedness event? Was it an emergency deployment? Was it just admin training? So that they also look at the impact and the progress that they've been able to do throughout the year. And we do that on a monthly basis. We hope to develop something like a little bit more digestible than that too, and maybe have a little heat map like you see here, and provide that to the volunteers as well. All right, now I'll kick it over to my colleague Shelly as she'll talk about additional data sets with New York City Emergency Management.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Anthony. Anthony's going to be driving my slides for me. I'm hoping everyone can hear me okay. Thumbs up, Anthony. All right, fantastic. Hope everybody's having a great afternoon. As Anthony said, and my name is very clear up there, I'm Shelly. I am a team member on our GIS team here, Geographic Information Systems team at NYCEM. I'm also the Geospatial Data Program Manager, a mouthful for me, and also our NYCEM's appointed Open Data Coordinator for this organization. I'm happy to be here. I'm intended to share with you some of our open data that we have been pushing to the open data portal, and there are open data available in other sites. So that's what I'm going to be presenting to you this afternoon. If we could take it to the next slide, Anthony. All right, so this is just a bit of some of the open data sets that we've got up there on the open data portal. I wanted to highlight some of these to you guys. Some of you may not know that these data sets are up there. Just to touch on something that everybody's very much interested in, our hurricane season that takes place between June and November-ish. I say November-ish, sometimes December we can go. But yeah, we have a number of hurricane evacuation centers that we have pushed up to the open data portal, so that's available. These centers are really like intake centers. So if a hurricane is approaching New York City, persons requiring some kind of sheltering is processed through those evacuation centers and then rerouted to a shelter. This data set is updated annually in support of our coastal storm planning efforts. We also have with those evacuation centers a map It's up on the Open Data portal, so you can take a look at it. I've also included a link there to our Hurricane Evacuation Zone Finder app that's available, and that app tells you, can give you a sense of where the closest hurricane evacuation center is to your maybe home or wherever your whatever address you use. So you can take a look at that. Since I'm not, oh, somebody's sharing the map for us. Thank you. The hurricane inundation by evacuation zones. Another interesting data set, might I add. And this data set really shows us, it's a map, but it shows us the potential storm inundation areas that were used to develop the hurricane evacuation zones that you see here on the hurricane evacuation map. So if you look at the hurricane evacuation zone finder app, you will notice there are a number of, we have like 6 hurricane evacuation zones. And these zones were developed using the storm surge inundation data that we got from National Hurricane Center, a very complex process that my colleague, Josh Friedman, who is here, loves to talk about. So if you have any questions related to that, feel free to direct it to him. You'll see it in the chat. Let's talk about NYCEM emergency notifications. So this is actually part of our Notify NYC app that we've got available. I've put a link in there too if you're interested in getting the app. The app is available on Android and Apple platforms. And the lovely thing about this is that it gives you up-to-the-minute information about emergency situations and or planned events within the 5 boroughs. So by enabling like location services on your phone, you will be informed about emergency activities around you or wherever you are in the city. So it's a fantastic app. I encourage you to download it if you don't have it yet. Partners in Preparedness, another data set that we've got up there. And Partners in Preparedness really is a nationally recognized program that supports organizations in preparing their employees, their services, their facilities for emergencies. So this data set is updated annually to reflect all the partners who have completed the necessary emergency preparedness tasks. It's a program within NYCEM that we engage these partners in. So every year we're trying to get more and more partners in, so the list grows. And Anthony spoke a lot about CERT, so you're now familiar with that. We have a CERT boundary layer up on open data, so you can have a look at where the different CERT teams are operating. Anthony, can we go to the next slide? So we've got even more data from open data, from NYCEM or the open data platform. These data sets are really in support of the NYC's hazard mitigation plan. So we got a number of data sets up there on open data. And this hazard mitigation plan is New York City's comprehensive effort to reduce or eliminate losses that are from natural hazards and other hazards that we are exposed to within the city. So the map that you see on your right is part of a larger initiative. It's a website that you go to, and I've put a link in the presentation, and maybe you can stick a link in the chat if somebody wouldn't mind, to that hazard mitigation plan. So the map includes all the existing and completed mitigation actions that will minimize the effects of hazard events on New York City's population, its economy, its property, its building stock, and its infrastructure. So it's highly comprehensive. And this initiative actually is a result of a coordinated effort by New York City's agencies and partners to develop and implement a broad range of inventive and effective ways to mitigate hazards. So the point lines and polygons that you see there on the open data website is correlated to the various layers on the map. So you can take a look at that, this website, play around with it, go to the open data, look at what we've got up there, and feel free to reach out and ask questions. The next slide says I've posted our contact information. So if you have any questions around what you've seen, any of the open data sets that we've got up there, feel free to reach out to us. And that's it. I'll hand it back to Key if we to
Hey,
take us through the end.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Shelly and Anthony, for giving us an overview of what you've been working on and been putting together. I've been aware of NYCEM data. I haven't seen it put together in the way that the map you shared with us. So it's really interesting having a look at it. Actually looking at my neighborhood where I grew up, and it seems to be one of the flood areas in Canarsie. So yeah, I'm just having a look at it myself. But yeah, at this point, we can open up the chat if there's any questions. There's any clarifying questions. Maybe we have some of the emergency management folks. I just want to dive a little bit deeper into some of the work that's been going on. Happy to take those questions in the chat. Okay. All right. Otherwise, I'm not seeing any questions. I mean, feel free. We'll take a minute here. What I'm doing on my end is I know as the presentation was going on, I do have a few events that I also want to plug. All right. Cynthia says, thank you all. Thank you to all the CERT members. Their services are invaluable to New York City. Absolutely. Anthony, we're celebrating 20 years right now. Yeah, this year.
Yes, it's something I as Shelly was talking, I forgot to also mention. With this year, we are celebrating 20 years of the New York City CERT program, which is awesome. I mean, volunteerism overall is something I wasn't accustomed to when I grew up, and I stumbled upon it by mistake, honestly. And I've really held and valued the passion of everyone providing their own time to help the community and those around them. So I do, from everyone here that's a volunteer, whether you're in CERT or not, I do commend you. But again, happy birthday to my CERT volunteers here.
Absolutely. Big thanks to you. And yeah, we were talking a little bit on the side about all of the volunteer efforts throughout the years, and the team has been helping New York City through a lot. So yeah, big thanks. And I'm really impressed to hear how far things have come. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you, Shelly. Thanks, Anthony. If there isn't much else from the folks in the crowd, I do want to let you guys know some interesting events coming up, and a little bit of a few of them are time sensitive. If anyone's interested in joining a workshop and getting familiar with a little bit of Python, you can check out today's session with a Delphi school. Oh, Angela has a question. What other ways do you anticipate using open data to guide CERT volunteers' activities?
That's a great question. So I think we've now that there is a little bit more comfort level on our end with visualizing data, which is something that the program hasn't done in the past, providing a little bit more of those resources into having our volunteers even assess their emergency plans if they have one as a team. So like going through those community-based hazards and seeing how will they be able to mitigate or respond to some of those hazards locally into their neighborhood, so that starts being incorporated in their emergency plans would be very beneficial, and create a little bit more engagement also when it comes to the actual emergency management component of the program, a bit more outside of the public education piece.
Thanks for the question, Angela. Thanks, Anthony. I had a question from an open data perspective. So I was looking at the NYC hazard mitigation map. Is it a combination of perhaps the separate layers that you send us to my team? I'm
Yes.
seeing, yeah, okay,
Yes,
cool.
it's a combination.
When I get a chance, I'll we were talking to our vendor about perhaps combining these different layers for people to use. I might give it a go to see how it'll look on our end and try to match up at least.
Sure, sure. Reach out if you have any questions around it as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyhow, folks, feel free to drop any questions you may have. I'm going to start sharing links, and I'll stop, of course, if I see a question. So we got a Learning Python with Adelphi School. That's just in a little bit at 4:30. It's not too late to visit that link, sign up. I'm pretty sure it's a workshop, so I'm sure they're going to give you some prep instructions. You probably get a notebook that'll work through your browser. So feel free to have a look at it right about now. You can set up, follow along. I just went through a really interesting one with the MTA where we got to visualize some of their data. It's really interesting. Learned a lot. Something else I'll share. Big cornerstone of Open Data Week here. We have School of Data. Another workshop type of event in person at the CUNY School of Law. A lot of interactive sessions to join in. You could plan your day out, end up leaving and sharpening a lot of your data analytics skills. There'll be food provided, some lunch, and yeah, lots of networking opportunities. You have a lot of data folks that's willing to join. And then thankfully, this isn't the last of this one. These folks do a really good job on curating the actual visual experience with New York City Open Data through design. It's really an experience. The same team that actually sets this up, if I'm not mistaken, also sets up an annual open house event each year. And it's been great every time I've gone. I mean, you get to see like the latest cutting edge technology. They actually have a lab where they're creating new things that are coming out that people use, products that people are probably going to end up buying. And yep, it's always a ball when they go there. So highly recommend the Data Through Design exhibit in these 3 events. Otherwise, if there's nothing else, no other questions, just want to thank everyone for their time. Thanks for the support. Shelly, thank you. Anthony, thanks. Any parting words from you two?
I just want to thank everyone for joining, all my colleagues here at NYCEM. Thank you. Thank you to the Open Data team for, another great roadshow of open data. Thank you to my chief presenter, Anthony, for volunteering to do this for us. I'm sure we learned a lot about CERT and the other data sets. And as I said to our other partners outside there, if you're interested in some of our open data that we've got there on the Open Data platform, and you would like to know more about consuming it in any of your decision making, and you want to find out more, please reach out. Thank you very much for your time, for the privilege of your time this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks to everybody, colleagues, volunteers, and guests. To me, I mean, I was very skeptical when I heard about open data. I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I'm happy I did it. It's something that I realize I do use a lot. And even the question in the chat earlier, gauged something that was like on my to-do list. So thank you. This has been great. I hope to continue using open data and looking for other resources like this soon.